Welcome, welcome to the Mind Fuck Podcast. Yay! Welcome once again, my dear friend. Thank you so much for taking time out to hang out with me. I am really grateful you're here. My name is Wonu Aleshe, and sometimes I do go by Amazing Soul. Welcome. FCK stands for fun, compassion, and kindness. uh, Before we start the show, we have a tradition that we normally do. And the tradition is a list that I titled Reminders to Being Human. The intention behind reading that list before every show is to remind me on my journey, and also to remind you also on your journey. All right. Reminders to being human. Have fun along the journey. Show yourself compassion. Be kind to others. Being complex and being simple can hold true in the same breath. Stay curious. Hold space for pauses. Hold space for not knowing. Never underestimate the power of silence. Nature has a lot of wisdom. Pay attention. There is power in we than I. If nothing else makes sense, come back to love. Pain is our greatest teacher. And the very last one, never underestimate your ripple of existence. Yay! Welcome once again, my very dear friend. Now let's get into the fun part of the show. All right. I want to start with a question that has followed me through some of like the hardest seasons of my life. How much can you actually hold? Not how much can you survive, not how much can you endure, not how much can you tolerate while disassociating, but how much can you truly hold without breaking yourself in the process? Because most of my life, I confuse capacity with endurance. I thought being strong meant pushing through. I thought growth meant stretching past every limit. I thought healing meant facing everything at once. And I learned the very hard way that your nervous system does not grow through force. It grows through pacing, it grows through safety, micro moment of internal safety. I'll take you back to a time in my life in 2022. At that point in my life, I was just transitioning out of the army medically. I was dealing with chronic lower back pain that had been building for years. Sleep was almost non-existent. I mean, 2 to 4 hours of sleep every night. My body felt like it was bracing, even when nothing was happening. Externally, it looked like I was handling it. Internally, I was overloaded. And at that time in my life, I didn't even know the difference. I mean, at that time, my body was holding physical pain, identity loss, career transition, financial uncertainty, relationship adjustment, and years of unprocessed emotional charge. And I kept telling myself, Wonu, you handled worse. You should be fine. That sentence alone shows you how distorted my definition of capacity was. Because I wasn't even asking myself, can my body actually hold this? I was asking, can my willpower override this? And that, my friend, those are two separate, different questions, right? When we talk about capacity, we often think psychologically. I mean, how much stress can I handle? How much responsibility can I take on? How much uncertainty can I embrace? But capacity is also physiological first. Because your nervous system has a window of tolerance, a range where you can feel, think, and respond without shutting down or exploding. And when you're within your window, you can feel sadness without drowning. You can feel anger without attacking. You can feel fear without spiraling. And you can hold complexity, right? When you're outside your window, what's going to happen is your body starts to numb. You start to snap. You start to overthink. Your body collapses. You start to self attack. And for years on my journey, I lived outside my window thinking I was just disciplined. I remember lying awake around like 3 a.m., exhausted, and my back was throbbing. I was just staring at the ceiling. And my constant thought in my brain was, fix this one. No. Let's try to figure this out. Let's push through the pain. But my body was saying a completely different story. My body was saying, I am tired. I am overwhelmed. I need less. And I didn't yet know how to listen to my body at that point in my journey because I thought capacity meant expanding endlessly. But what I know now is capacity is seasonal. It's dynamic. It changes based on sleep, pain levels, emotional safety, life transition, even the time of the year. You cannot measure today's capacity using last year's baseline. But that's what we do all the time as human beings. You see, my friend, that there's something I want to gently confront here. You see, many of us pride ourselves on being the one who can hold everything. I did. I mean, we pride ourselves in being the reliable one, the grounded one, the strong one, the emotionally intelligent one. Because I did that for so many years. But sometimes being the one who can hold everything, I've seen is just a trauma adaptation. It's a nervous system that learned if I hold it all, I stay safe. And that works until it doesn't. When I started actually regulating my nervous system, instead of just muscling through life, I had to confront something very uncomfortable. At that time in my life, I had far less capacity than I thought. And it wasn't because I was weak. No, it was because I had been living in chronic bracing for years. I mean, I was bracing while I was in the army. I was bracing through cultural expectations growing up. I was bracing through lower back pain. I was bracing through constant self-judgment. And I'll tell you this right now, a brace system has less available capacity. It just uses the energy left to just stay upright. So when something new comes in, like conflict, uncertainty, grief, change. It feels overwhelming, not because you are incapable, but because your baseline load is already high. Imagine holding 5 grocery bags in each hand, right? And they're full of groceries. You can technically grab one more, right? But at what cost, right? And here's where this becomes real for me. Here's where it became very real for me in 2022. Like after leaving the army, I thought I needed to, launch new projects, reinvent my career, fix my sleep, strengthen my relationship, find my purpose. Oh my God. And I thought I had to do all that all at once. Of course, that was overwhelming initially for me because I believe that then if I slow down, I will fall behind. But that wasn't true because the truth was this: if I did slow down, I was going to break because that's what eventually happened to my body. You see, being able to hold internal capacity for your emotions is everything. And I've seen that realization changed everything in my life. Emotional capacity is how you actually start to create safety and trust within yourself. And when I mean capacity is not about how much you can carry, right? It's about how honestly you can access what you're already carrying. I want us to define something clearly here. Internal capacity is your ability to feel, process, and respond to life without overwhelming your nervous system. It includes emotional bandwidth, physical energy, cognitive clarity, nervous system regulation, and relational tolerance. And capacity expands through safety, not pressure. This is where I want to bring in something very, very practical. Now, when emotional charge rises, and I've shared it tons of time on this show, I feel it in my chest area, right? And for years, that charge would spiral into a story in my brain saying, oh no, this shouldn't be happening. Oh no, I'm failing. Oh no, I need to fix this right now. Now, when it rises now, the emotional charge, I pause. I literally say internally, ooh, I am simply noticing a sensation in my chest. And I sit with it for about 90 seconds. No fixing, no labeling, no calming, just noticing the raw sensation in my chest. That practice alone expanded my capacity, not because the charge disappeared instantly, but because I wasn't stacking story on top of sensation. You see, my friend, your capacity increases when you remove secondary suffering. Here's another layer I want to share with you. Your internal capacity is relational. You don't need to hold everything alone. And for me on my journey, I had to learn this slowly. As someone who grew up defiant, hyper independent, as someone who was shaped by environments where strength was survival, asking for support felt very unsafe to me. But what I have learned over the years is this: shared load is not weakness, it is never system co regulation. right? When you speak something out loud and someone listens to you without trying to fix you, your system settles. When you say to yourself, I don't have the capacity for this right now, and someone respects that boundary, your system starts to trust you more. Capacity expands when your body believes you would not abandon it in real time. That's when capacity expands. I will say this, there's also a shadow side, right? You see, sometimes we overestimate our capacity because we are addicted to intensity. High stress feels familiar, urgency feels productive, chaos feels alive. So calm initially starts to feel empty. Slowness initially starts to feel wrong. Rest initially starts to feel lazy. I'll tell you, I went through that phase too. I mean, when my nervous system started settling after years of bracing, I felt bored. I felt unsettled by the quiet because my system equated activation with purpose. Learning to hold peace required more capacity than holding chaos. I want you to let that sink in. So, my friend, how do you explore your capacity without breaking yourself? That's the question today. You ask different question. You ask yourself a different question. Instead of asking yourself, how much more can I take? Try this instead. What's already on my plate? Instead of asking yourself, why can't I handle this right now? Try this instead. What is my body asking of me in this moment? Instead of asking yourself, how do I push through this pain? Try this instead. What would reduce one layer of load in my life? Capacity is often about subtraction, not addition. That's how you build capacity, by taking things off, peeling the layers. And I want to share something deeply human here. I mean, there were nights back in 2022 where I genuinely questioned if I could hold my mind, right? Because I was dealing with chronic pain, little or no sleep, identity unraveling, and all trauma resurfacing. And it felt like too much. I mean, what got me through that time of my life wasn't toughness. No, it was micro capacity. It was, can I hold this next breath? Can I hold this next minute? Can I hold this conversation? I mean, can I hold this raw sensation in my chest for 30 seconds? You don't expand your capacity by taking on everything. You expand it by surviving the next small wave without self-abandonment. Self-abandonment here is very, very crucial, my friend. And I'll tell you, there is wisdom in pacing yourself in life. Because in life, there are seasons. Seasons come and go. In recognizing that sometimes your job is not to expand in this season, it's to stabilize. Sometimes growth looks like saying no, going to bed consistently at a certain time, delaying a decision, letting an email response sit, not engaging in an argument, choosing silence. And sometimes the most regulated thing you can do is admit to yourself honestly, damn, I don't have capacity for this today. Honesty, my friend, it's a huge requirement on this journey. And if you're someone who holds a lot, I mean emotionally, professionally, relationally, I want you to ask yourself this question gently. Is this strength or is this survival? And if it's survival, what would 1 inch of softness look like for me today? For me on my journey, softness looked like taking naps without shame, walking slower, not responding to that text message immediately, letting people misunderstand me, dropping invisible timelines. That's what softness meant. Softness expanded my capacity more than pushing through ever did. I'm going to close with this today. Your capacity is not a moral measure. No. It's not a reflection of your worth. No. It is a reflection of your current state. And states change all the time, in every moment. And you are allowed to reassess. You're allowed to renegotiate. You're allowed to reduce what's on your plate. I mean, ask yourself, how much can I actually hold in this moment? The answer, probably less than your ego wants, probably more than your fear thinks. It's between those two. And the real wisdom is learning the difference and learning to expand gently without breaking yourself. If this resonated with you in any way, my friend, I invite you to sit with one simple question today. What is one thing I can set down, even temporarily, to protect my internal capacity? And see what your mind says. See what your body says, not your mind, your body. Because I'll tell you, your body always has the answer. Your body has always known your capacity. You just gotta listen to it. As always, my friend, I want to thank you so much for listening. I want to thank you so much for being here. And I'm sending you so much love from my heart to yours. Thank you.